Hello, students. The following is a recording meant to demonstrate how the various strategies that I've taught you can be brought together in an actual oral presentation and/or assessment. Remember that the skills that I teach you, both to read expressively, fluently, and accurately, as well as to respond with consideration, structure, and thoughtful intent, are meant to be applied way beyond your oral examinations, but even in your day-to-day interactions, reading, expression, performance, as well as presentation of English. Without further ado, let's get into this very familiar portion of passage as well as the picture. I'll begin with the reading. Remember that in the first 2 minutes, I'm looking at the punctuation, which shows me where to stop and breathe, as well as what the tone of the various expressions ought to be. I'm looking for pronunciation, the word endings in particular, S, T, K, and D, to make sure that I pronounce each word carefully, accurately, and link them fluently one to the other. And lastly, but definitely not least, your person, which is how your various characters are able to express their emotions in a way that is appropriate to the various speech verbs as well as keywords that inform their emotions. The pupils of Primary 6B looked forward to the concert that would be held on the last day of school. Every year, the graduating classes would put on a performance to celebrate the end of their time in primary school. For their performance, the class decided to sing a couple of songs. Kenny, who was from the choir, helped to get his classmates ready for the item. "Let's warm up our voices. Follow me as we sing these notes." Kenny encouraged everyone as he showed them the correct way to sing. The practice went on smoothly, and just as the music reached its highest notes, a loud screech could be heard from the back of the room. A group of girls seated near Hamid covered their ears in unison. "Hamid, you almost deafened us!" Sulin chided her friend whom she had known since primary 1. "We are to sing the song, not scream it out," she said disapprovingly. Hamid scratched his head in embarrassment and apologized for getting too carried away. What did you think of my reading, children? Did you find that my word endings were clearly enunciated? Did you notice that my tone varied across the sentence, both as a narrator as well as the different characters of Kenny and Sulin? Did you hear the emotion of excitement in my voice as I read Kenny's dialogue? And did you hear my emotion of annoyance as I read Sulin's dialogue? Good. Please pay attention to these particular features of the text because they've been purposely built in for you to express these emotions and to vary your pitch and tone in an expressive manner, as well as to link each word to the other fluently, expressively, and accurately. That way, you will score as close to a full mark for your reading passage as you possibly can. Remember, punctuation, pronunciation, and person. Next, let's consider this picture carefully. Notice that it is a picture of a ticket stub for a graduation concert. I will want to recall all vocabulary related to watching performances, as well as to think about some of the challenges, values, as well as experiences linked with performing and with performances in general. After I've considered these various themes that the picture represents, I cross-reference it with the text that I've just read about Kenny and Sulin and Hamid performing together for their graduation. And I remind myself that there is a connection between the text and the picture. And in a pinch, if I have nothing I can recall, I can use some parts of the story and use it as my personal experience in my response to the questions. All right, now let's look at the questions themselves, okay? The first question, right, is going to be about the picture. So look at the picture. Would you like to invite a family member or friend to watch the concert? Why or why not? So back to the picture. So remember, I want to link every element of the picture to my response of whether I would like to invite a family member or a friend. And remember that I will need to give supporting reasons. I will need to give personal experiences and examples, as well as suggestions for improvements and a summary statement. So let's begin, right? Yes, I would certainly love to invite my family and my friends to attend this P6 graduation concert at Highland Primary School. I noticed from the ticket stub that the date of the concert is the 20th of November on a Friday. If I recall correctly, this would be after our school has ended for the term and our holidays have started. This means that it will be the perfect time for me to enjoy a concert with my family and friends. I noticed that the time is from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'm a bit concerned that my parents may not be able to attend the concert unless they take leave from their work, because they both work 9 to 5 jobs. However, because it's a graduation concert, I'm sure that they would be able to make an exception. I also noticed that it will be held in the school hall, which probably means that it will be very convenient for all the students to attend this concert together with their friends and family. It mentions on the ticket stub that songs, skits, and special performances will be part of this graduation concert. I'm really excited to hear that because I am a musical person myself. I love to sing and I'm trying to learn how to dance, and this appeals to me. I wonder if there will be special performances by the students themselves. If there were, I would certainly want to be either a part of that performance or to watch that performance together with my friends and family. Finally, I noticed that this ticket is not for sale and that it is free entry for all students and their guests. That's amazing. That means I do not need to pay for this particular concert, and yet I get to enjoy all of the various songs, skits, and special performances that have been painstakingly put together by the performers, the teachers, and the students. I remember a year ago, I was invited to be the MC for the primary 6 graduation concert in my school. I was in primary 5 at the time, and I was called up as part of a group of students to help to organize as well as to facilitate the performances on that day, since the primary 6 students were themselves very busy preparing for and performing during that concert. It was a memorable experience because I got to look backstage at how the performers put in their 110% effort and put in all of their blood, sweat, and tears to ensure that each performance would be impeccably executed. There were tears and laughter as they worked together seamlessly to perform. Some classes danced, others sang songs or presented photo slides with their voiceovers on the big screen, and some classes were very creative in the costumes and the various performances that they staged for their teachers and friends. At the end of the concert, I remember that there was a huge feast where food was catered and big tables laden with many delicious dishes were set up for the students, their friends and family to enjoy a last meal together before they graduated. I was really excited to be a part of that performance. And I remember thinking to myself that I would look forward so much to being a part of this graduation concert when my turn came. And here it is. This is the year I'm graduating, and I'm certainly looking forward to something as exciting as what I was a part of. I have also heard from some of my friends in other schools that they have graduation concerts and ceremonies too. In some schools, they even have an entire day when the primary sixes do not have to attend lessons, but get to interact with one another, go from class to class, and look for their teachers to autograph special books and booklets that their teachers are then able to write their thoughts, well wishes in. As a suggestion, I would like to propose that my school have the same program and the same affordance where students are allowed to go from class to class to look for their teachers who have taught them from primary 1 to primary 6, both to express their gratitude as well as to collect signatures as a keepsake for their secondary school journey, and to collect the best wishes that I'm sure the teachers will have for each and every one of us as students. In summary, I would certainly want to invite my friends and my family for a graduation concert such as this, because it would be a memorable way to spend my December holidays, my last one as a primary school student. It would allow me to participate in songs, skits, and special performances to showcase my talent to my friends and family as well as to my teachers. And finally, it would be a wonderful way to round out the year with a memorable performance that will leave such a positive impression in the minds and the hearts of everyone who's involved in it. All right, students, that was my rather extended response to question 1. So a few features I'd like you to notice. 1, I was able to cover most of the main features of this ticket stub. 2, I was able to link it to my personal response, right? What I thought about the date, the time, the location, as well as the various events and activities that would be part of this graduation concert. I gave my thoughts and my reasons to each of these elements. After I gave my thoughts and reasons for each picture element, I then went on to talk about my personal experience of being an MC or Master of Ceremony in the previous graduation concert last year when I was in primary 5. I gave specific details about what I did, what I saw, what I experienced, and how I felt at the end of that concert. And I expressed my wish to experience the same when my turn came, which it has. Then I went on to an example, right? I heard from a friend, or I heard from my friends in other schools about the different ways that they experienced their graduation, some with concerts and some with ceremonies. And finally, I ended with a summary of the main points that I felt I wanted the teacher to remember of my response. I gave 3 main points as a summary points, and I ended with a summary statement, right? Reiterating or repeating the reply to the question, which was that I would certainly want to invite my family and friends to this graduation concert. I hope that this gives you an idea about how I've managed to bring together the trees structure and how I've managed to use it to arrange my answer in a systematic way such that I did not leave anything out. Notice also the connectors that I used to link from point to point, right? I could have used a lot more, right? I could have used however, moreover, additionally, in addition. And notice that I could have used the connector of contrast, however, to turn the question, but that's not really necessary in the first question, because remember, the first question has more to do with the picture. So my focus was on unpacking the picture, dealing with every element of it, and connecting it to my personal experience and to any examples I have heard about, read about, or seen outside of myself. That was the focus of the first question. Now, in the next question, I will demonstrate to you how I use some of these connectors of consequence and especially of contrast more deliberately in order to bring out more content and to extend my answer beyond the usual 2 or 3 sentences. All right. So let's look at the second question, which goes beyond the picture. Right. So the second question in bullet point B, right? Would you prefer being a performer on stage or helping out backstage with the lights, props, and costumes? Why? All right. Now, this particular question is now going to be talking about my personal preference, right? So I need to answer first what I prefer, right? So this is going to be my personal experience, and I'm going to be linking it to my experiences of being a performer and why I prefer not to perform, right? So let's go back to the picture, right? In this case, there's no need to refer to the picture any longer, right? Remember, it's just about the question now, right? So I would definitely prefer to help out backstage with the lights, props, and costumes. There are several reasons for this preference. Firstly, I do not enjoy performing on stage because I suffer from quite a bad case of stage fright. and performance anxiety. Secondly, I am quite skilled at operating the computers, the lights, the curtains, and the props. And I have some experience managing costumes because I have been involved in performances and plays from when I was in lower and middle primary school. And I believe that I'm quite good at operating the lights and the props behind the scenes. Finally, it is my personal preference because I enjoy being behind the scenes and helping out with the props and the costumes. I know that even though I'm not a performer in front of the stage, I'm contributing very importantly to the smooth running of the performance. My personal experience in performing is probably what made me more anxious and fearful of public speaking and performance. I remember when I was in primary one, there was a readers' theatre set up by our school, our class teacher in school, where parents could come into the school to watch us perform together as a group and as a class. I was all decked out in my costume. I had my script in front of me. But for some reason, when it came time for me to speak, I was frozen with fear and I did not know what to do. Instead of encouraging me, my classmates who were around me started to giggle and laugh, and that made me feel even more embarrassed. I remembered shrinking into my costume and wishing that I could disappear from the stage so that I would not feel the embarrassment and the anxiety that I was experiencing at that point in time. From that moment onward, I remember feeling very, very reluctant to share or to present or to perform in any way, even when my teachers encouraged me and gave me the opportunity to do so. Because of this experience, I have been very reluctant to go on stage to perform, and therefore I would prefer not to do so. I have also heard of other cases where students who have experienced embarrassment or negative feelings while they were performing have been unwilling or unable to present on stage. They have been frozen in fright, and I can definitely identify with this. Some studies even show that if students are forced to perform when they are anxious and fearful, it might make them even more fearful and unwilling to do so in the future. My suggestion would be that instead of forcing students who are unwilling to perform to step on stage to do what they do not want to do, why not give them a different role, like helping out with the stage props, arranging the costumes, or assisting the performers with various tasks that they need to do before they go on stage. That would prepare and give purpose to each student, even though they may not prefer performing, and also teach students the important value of how everybody is important regardless of the role that they play. On the other hand, even though I say that I would not want to perform, I realize that it is important for me to overcome my fear of public speaking and performance at some stage. Therefore, I would certainly want to gradually and slowly get back to performing and presenting again. Perhaps instead of performing on a big stage, I might try doing it in a small group with friends that I'm familiar with who might support and encourage me, or even in my classroom where I am familiar with my classmates and I would not feel as embarrassed if I were to forget my lines or fumble with my presentation. My teacher is very encouraging, and I'm sure that he would give me the opportunity and the encouragement to slowly overcome my fear of performing and of public speaking. In summary, I would certainly prefer to help out backstage because I'm very good with the lights, the props, and the costumes. And it is also something that I enjoy doing a lot. On the other hand, I would certainly be open to trying out performing on a smaller stage so that I can gradually overcome my stage fright. In a nutshell, I would certainly prefer at this stage to help out with the lights, the props, and the costumes. All right. Do you notice how I use the connector, however, in order to present, or on the other hand, in order to present a different perspective of the question? How I managed to have twice the amount of response and time because I examined this question from a different angle, right? So you state your preference, then you can also explore the other option by using a connector like, however, or on the other hand, to provide a different perspective. I hope that this short demonstration has been helpful in giving you an idea about how these various skills can be put together into one response during your oral. Thank you for your kind attention.